Aloha, everyone. Welcome to Java. Thank you kindly for joining me. Happy Cinco de Mayo because it is May 5th, 2024. So, it's Sunday. We're going to look at the week ahead, and there's quite a bit to go over. So, with this, let's go right into what happened this week with the markets. So, we've got our risk indicator fell below the extreme level of risk, so still high risk territory. And it's moving very rapidly these days, so keeping an eye on that. Currently at the 294.3. So, with that kind of hand in hand goes the fear and greed index, but that measures from the opposite side. So, we're watching investors more uh, hitting more towards the greed. They have been buying up until Friday, went green for the week for the stock markets in the United States. So, sitting at a level of 40, showing that they're willing to still buy the dips at this point in time. So, with this, we are watching the 10-year yield. Yields dropped. And this was kind of something very interesting to see because it was a bit of intervention from the Fed that had brought those yields down. So, what happened with that? Dropped those yields. That left a little bit more room, so to speak, for the markets. And that's a good reason why they went green. Also, relative strength of the dollar dropped. There's a lot of currency manipulation going on here, more so than normal. So, with this, I find it really interesting. We see Yellen counseling caution on currency intervention after the yen surge. So, Bank of Japan, the Ministry of Finance, stepping in here. They're being very quiet about it. We've been talking about this, but that has larger effect as they have to hold a large amount of foreign currencies as their reserves. They are one of the largest holders of United States debt. So, of course, she's warning them about stepping in because she wants to be master manipulator. So, we've got US economic apocalypse imminent, government debt collapse begins. So, this is not coming from me. This is now coming from little wider news. It seems they're feeling a little more confident to be talking about this, but we've already been talking about it. So we've got Ken Griffin talking about the US in uncharted economic territory due to massive spending binge by basically political parties, both sides in the United States. So we've got a Morgan Stanley economist also talking about economic deceleration coming soon. So I want to bring up that this is a divergence. So the economy is in severe decline, but the stock market keeps going up for two reasons. The first is inflation. So we're watching that dollar collapse slowly. I have more on that in a bit, but that makes the price of other things rise, including stocks. So, with the economy going down, people are looking for places to put their money because the money is basically worth less every single day. So, going into our calendar and earnings, we've got a lot going on here. It's actually going to be a quiet week as far as reports. We are looking at the main things this week are primarily aside from Fed members speaking because they can move the markets. We're watching on Wednesday crude oil, basically numbers, a 10-year note auction, and then Thursday, really watching the jobless numbers as well as the 30-year bond auction. So we got a lot more reports coming out, but basically, what happened with the markets going up? Wages in the United States rose less than expected. So we're watching the consumer come up under pressure. 10-year Treasury sank. Basically, the jobs report came in cold and ISM services dropped. So economy getting weaker, stock market going up. So we're also going to be getting Michigan Consumer Confidence Index. And as I said, speeches by officials coming this week. Large cap earnings season's coming to an end. We've also got, let's see, aside from the consumer credit change coming out on Tuesday, which will tell us basically how much debt the consumer is taking on. So discretionary debt, I expect the credit to rise as they're having to purchase basically living cost of living, groceries and such on credit now. So we're also getting 5-year consumer inflation expectations on Friday. So moving on with this, we've got our earnings calendar. As I said, this is coming to an end. There's quite a few large ones here. And with companies and jobs, we've got a few things coming in. We're watching years of decline, basically, new generation of organized labor rising, talking about all of the union strikes and labor increase. So, how are companies responding to this? They're going overseas. So, going overseas, cutting labor, we've been talking about this. We've got the Wall Street Journal cutting jobs in Hong Kong and shifting to Singapore. So, looking for cheaper wages or just closing out. We've got, along with the restaurants that we spoke about yesterday, now Outback Steakhouse announcing closure of locations. We've got Chicago office market struggling. Now, this is commercial real estate across the board. But Blackstone and New York Life now selling their commercial real estate. And then you've got companies on the other side, the smart ones. Berkshire, hoarding cash, waiting for attractive new deal targets. So they're waiting for this blood in the street, as so to speak, that is coming, so they can purchase good deals. So that's what large companies are doing. Basically, if you're in the position, also do the same. Keep your powder dry, be ready to buy. With this, we've got new sectors coming in. I've been speaking about the insurance industry for some time. It's finally starting to come out here as we're talking about. Worsening weather is igniting $25 billion market. So talking about basically insurance and hedge funds against poor weather destruction. And they're calling them catastrophic bonds. So when catastrophe hits, a lot of money floods into it. A lot of it is government money from FEMA or other entities, state bonds. So basically, they call these cat bonds for short. So we've got a lot of weather control going on, as you know. We've got floods in Indonesia, the Taiwan quake, Baltimore Bridge collapse. All of these are affected if you look deeply into these, but I'm not going to go into that now. We've got Houston area flooding. There has been a large amount, an abnormally large amount, I should say, of weather-related anomalies that have been going through Texas area and basically Midwest, southern United States. So this is causing a lot of, basically a lot of insurance issues as well as Florida. So this is not just here, it's globally. We've got dozens dead. Southern Brazil hit by the worst floods in 80 years. We also just watched what happened in Dubai, also got flooded. They're doing massive amounts of cloud seeding and weather control through multiple other ways that they're doing this. So we'll just move on with wars and trade because we've got a lot to cover still. So we've got Iran and India. Their trade is up 5%. But the key behind this is they're now doing increased trade in their native currency. So we've got another basic rise in BRICS. We'll jump down to this because they're saying that BRICS should be ready for the dollar collapse. So we're watching them basically value their currencies against a basket of currencies here, and they are poised to create an alternative in trade. Now, the US dollar is still strong, will remain so for a time. However, we're watching a major shift going on, and just to be ready, it's going to happen over the extended period of time, nothing immediate, unless something very severe happens. So we've got basically the OPEC Secretary General saying that they're not happy to see sanctions against Iran. And it doesn't really matter because sanctions aren't effective. And as you see, basically it creates a boom for them if they play it in the right way. We got this story about British sanctions failing to harm Russia. And this is coming from the UK. So we knew this has happened, and basically they have bolstered the Russian economy as well as the economy in Iran and several others by sanctioning them. So we have Francis Macron and also President Xi talking about trade and Ukraine. So Francis Macron, he thinks that he is going to educate President Xi. So he's completely out of his realm here. China's been doing greatest amounts of trade for quite some time before he was even born. So he's WEF guy, but he's going to need more powder in his backdrop before he takes him on. So watching NATO using war games to prepare for conflict, this is coming out of Moscow. So basically, they are planning for more physical wars. We know all physical wars are bankers' wars, uncovering corruption. With this, we've got Netanyahu saying Israel will not give in to Hamas' demand to end war. Basically, they're not willing to have talks and they're not moving forward. And this is the way that they want this to continue. They've got a lot more things that they've got to accomplish as far as restructuring, and they've got other plans in place in the backdrop. So, with this, we've got a story coming out about US billionaires now have a lower effective tax rate than the working class. Why is this? Because old taxes begin as taxing the upper class or only the top 1%. And how does it work out? Then they're always given loopholes, and the lower working class are stuck actually paying the bills. So we've got even Warren Buffett saying taxes may rise to offset widening US deficits. So, where are these deficits? They're in war spending. So, United States spends more than the next 11 countries combined on defense. And where do we send a lot of it goes overseas. So, if you're not happy paying your taxes, this is a large part of it, and they're not going to go down anytime soon. So, if you are dissatisfied with that, you might want to think about what you would like to do about it. So, with this, I'd like to turn to something a little more positive. We're talking about our garden pharmacies. With this, I'd like to key into aloe vera. So, classic plant, it's got medicinal uses always about skin-based wound healing, and then also internally as well. So it's good for skin health, aging, tooth and gum disease, acid reflux, and heartburn. You can take this internally. In fact, many people will cut it into slices. You can see the interior of it is clear into like a gel, and put it in smoothies and drink this daily. It does regulate your blood sugar, and that's also good for that, as well as some other health benefits. It's very easy to grow in warmer, arid climates. Very good indoor plant as well. So you can chop off, as long as you get some of the roots down at the bottom if you'd like to propagate more. As long as you get part of those roots, as I was saying, and then planting them in soil. And you can look for more tips on this online. So with this, I wish you all happy Cinco de Mayo. Hope you all have wonderful rest of your weekend. Thank you for being here. And until I see you again, my friends, stay free.